Hello, everybody. Welcome to another session. To everybody who's watching the recording, obviously, I hope you're all doing well. Let's start right away because we have already some nice topics to talk about in the chat. First is Aristo is starting trading with real money because he feels like it's time to start trading with real money with a $100 account, do a 1% risk to take things easy for now. Perfect. This is how you should start. Some amount of money which is not really hurting you, but still enough, like first of all, to execute orders properly, because sometimes low size is not even able to be executed. And on the other hand, like you really get in touch with feeling side of things, like with the betting side of things, because the technical stuff and the whole like analysis and rational stuff is one side of the game. But on the other hand, obviously, there is the money aspect. This is why we do it, right? It's not just for playing like with around with blocks or anything. It's to make money, and so winning and losing money is really then where the whole emotional aspect comes in. Because many people have a problem with losing money because it feels like losing life power, losing freedom, losing like the possibility to buy food and stuff. And so, yeah, even if it's just $100, it will probably be enough for you to feel something. And also, like on the winning side, if you win, it's like, oh yeah, I got this now. And also, you will maybe feel tempted to size up. Don't do that. Set yourself a goal, like for example, 3 months of trading with proper risk management, or a certain percentage goal you want to achieve, and then you can still size up. No need to rush things. Um, and as I said, I would set up some goals, which then are your goalposts for to reach, and to say then, okay, now I'm ready to trade with more money. Yeah, busy times, moving places soon, so lots of preparations. Haven't had any alerts on my place lately, so trading is a little quiet. Yeah, I mean, real life also deserves some attention, right? We are also we're probably staying in our place for another year, but I'm now in discussion with the owner from this house here because he wants more money, but I say he then needs to provide us some more things, because some things are just annoying, and if I ask him, he's never like really responding to stuff. And obviously, if he wants more money, he also need to provide more things. And I was never good in negotiation, to be honest, but also with trading, I learned to always get the best price. And so it's a good exercise for me. I mean, for like European standards, it's still like the raise is it's still definitely not much, but it's about like it's uh about like the principle. I don't know if you can say it like that, but in German, like es geht ums Prinzip. If he wants more, he needs to provide more because it's very cheap to rent here, but also because some things are not like they should be. And so, yeah, good lesson for me in negotiation. And as ex-German, it's kinda a hardcore challenge to negotiate with the almost Middle East people here. So they have like tough negotiation styles, and as I said, like good training for me. Yeah, you like the approach with like setting some goals, and as I said, like there is not the perfect goal, but I would go for something like a realistic target percentage-wise to achieve. Like for example, you want to achieve consistently maybe 5% a month, and if this starts to happen, you want to size up. Also, I would set a goal of like for example, I sized my first account up because I just saw I can handle this and I do not do anything stupid. So I was always a very risk averse person. So for me, it was rather like risk a little more, and with trading in order to make really a living of that at some point. But this obviously helped me a lot in my early stages because I actually never really over risk, and there is no real danger with under risking, right? I mean, you have time, you have like it's probably some kind of income stream or something, and so you don't really need to make trading happen. For me, it was like I needed to make trading happen, so this was some kind of pressure point. But at the same time, I just wanted to see that I'm consistently being able to trust myself with sizing, and I did that over 3, 4, or 5 months. don't actually remember. And then I sized up to a degree which then made it possible for me to live actually of those trading gains. But like the results were still a little underwhelming because obviously this was my first account, but I never burned a single account. I actually still trade my FTMO account, which I made a year ago. I don't really actively trade on the account because FTMO is just annoying me. And I don't really need it, but obviously it would be nice to have another big account. And so I play my high time frame plays there if they're available on FTMO. And I never really burned this account, right? I've taken probably 150 trades and I'm up a little. I would consider myself a FTMO master round tripper. But I also never burn my account. And why? Because I'm a good risk manager. And it all depends on your personality. So I've seen a lot of different people and some are risk averse and some take really big risks from the beginning. And like the second one is maybe making it big in a very short period of time, but usually also the one who pays all back within a very short period of time, especially if it's not backed by real skill, but rather by like luck and like probabilities were on your side once. Um, so I don't know what kind of personality you are, but it seems like you take it slow. So this is great. And as said, set yourself some goals, some consistent goals to size up. And then in the end, it's just about adding zeros, right? So you just add a zero and then you have $1,000 account. You still do the same job. You add a zero, you have 10K. You add a zero, you have 100K. And you're always doing the same. I mean, these are still sizes. You will never run into liquidity issues, especially like if you trade majors. I mean, if you trade some garbage coin from the last corner of the crypto space, you maybe run into liquidity issues, but this is not recommended anyway. And so in the end, you will just do the same thing over and over and over, and it's just like adding a number, which then obviously feels different because in the back of our mind we know, okay, this is like this amount of money, this is the amount of money I made within a whole year with my day job. But don't think about that, and especially if you have consistency already, it's just about numbers, right? It's really just adding zeros, and you have the consistency, you have the data to back it up, and so there is really nothing to fear then. I sized up, or rather will, in November because I followed my process every single time for 3 months, August, September, and October, and error per month was more than expected, to be honest. Perfect. This is what you want to see. 3 months is already a good sample size. I don't know how many trades you took. Obviously, you need to consider you will have like good periods and bad periods. Um, and if you found the consistency and if you if you figured you can trust your risk management process, and by looking at your routine, the one you wrote us, it seems like you have no discipline issues, and so you shouldn't have any size issues either. And yeah, this is a great goal, 3 months, and obviously, if everything went well, you can then size up if you wish to. For me, it was some similar time frame actually. Yes. What do you guys want to talk about? And you ask about the whole like how to cut our stuff. I can talk about this. We can also cover the market a little bit. Seems like it's just us three today, which is also fine. Then we can cover more of your stuff specifically. Um, yeah, just let me know if I should cover the market. You want to share the swing failure pattern play? Perfect. If you have prepared something, we can do that as well. We can also start with that right away if you wish. Then I will give you some kind of permission here, invite to speak, you need to accept, and then you can share your screen.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Let me see if I get the right screen. Oh, I actually don't have permissions to share the screen. I need to let me check my settings quickly.
You don't have permissions, but why is that? You have the student role. The student role should be able to share videos. Yes.
Wait, can that's what it says, but it okay, yeah, my privacy setting. obviously. uh, I mean, while I figured it out, we can also start with the market analysis or something.
Yeah, sure.
Because it doesn't seem I find it that quickly where it is.
Yeah, so then I will just cover the market real quick and you will figure that out in the meantime.
Yeah.
Because I think role-wise it should be all right. You have the student role and the student role is able to share the screen.
Yeah, it literally says it's my privacy settings, so it must be somewhere on my end.
Okay. Good. Yeah, crypto is basically doing nothing, a little bit of ranging here. I could feel that people were very, very bullish yesterday for a short period of time, and it was very quickly retraced. We will see. I'm still having some orders ready to short here, still on wide invalidation. I want to sell as much BTC as I can up here in higher time frame premium. Still same plan. Nothing really changed. Ethereum, all altcoins pretty much the same. On the stock market, something a little more is going on. I TP'd 90% here because the momentum break. We obviously retraced 30% from the highs. This is one of my bigger plays, or was. Also, QBT was one I was sharing many times before. Also, big sell-off, a lot of red in this in the stock market. Also here, this one, TP 20%, we are back at my entry. It's a soft stop loss, so I will consider, like, I will evaluate this with the next few hours or tomorrow. No need to rush anything. Also, the majors of the stock market are correcting a little bit. I hope that we do not sweep the high because I'm in a short. But if we should sweep the high, I pay my stop and then I look for a re-entry because I still think, like, same plan, similar to BTC. I think this is a good place to look for shorts. And should I get stopped, that's totally fine. And if I'm not stopped, I can probably ride those shorts into the bear market. And for now, it doesn't look that good for my short, and especially because it's a hedge and it was going up while my stocks were going down. So the hedge didn't hedge as I thought it would, but that's also okay. This is why we use risk management, right? So lots of red in the stock market, um, and nothing going on in crypto really. I found something interesting today. I've also shared this post. Japanese yen strength index. We have in November, we have the Japanese yen here, and the arrow is pointing down. This is the Economist. And so far, everything, all those pictures that were like very clear. Some pictures were a little bit like not as clear interpretation wise. There was a lot of room, but with this, like the Japanese yen and looking at Japanese interest rates, so we have either two options. Interest rates are going up, and the carry trade keeps on unwinding. And I think there's still a lot of like pressure on this system, which people do not talk about anymore. And maybe this is our first sign here or our signal here. And it will all depend on interest rates. And also the Japanese strength index is showing, if we break this to the upside or to the downside, is showing what kind of way this is going. And obviously, this also depends then on interest rate. So, zero interest rates for over a decade, and now they raised. They did this before, and it was right before 2008. So it was, or during 2008, and this wasn't as great for the stock market. Um, and now the rates have been lower for longer. Many people bought Japanese yen and bought stocks with that. So if interest rates continue to rise, people need to cover their loans, and if rates raise too high, people get pressured being in such positions. And this was for over a decade. This was more or less a free money glitch. But obviously, things do not work forever. And yeah, with the Economist thing here, I could imagine that this might lead to something not as great, looking at all those arrows here and how red it is, and the global, like the Earth, showing that it's something global, maybe. We will see, but this chart is probably kind of interesting to watch. Also, maybe for which kind of currencies to hold, because if we should like fill those levels, the Japanese yen might be very strong against other currencies. And I mean, 80%, like being as strong like this, 80% against all other major currencies would be nice to have. I'm not quite sure where I get my yen from, but I will. If this is like breaking to the upside, I will probably hold some of my money in yen. But we will see. Some variables I have to figure out. And also gold selling off like crazy. I did a 65% TP last week. Now it's sold off like 8%, which is a lot for gold. And I'm looking for shorting this here. Should we get the swing high again, which we probably will. In a perfect world, I would love to see like this structure break, closing below the trend line, closing below this low, then losing 4K, making everybody really bearish, everybody selling gold, and then pushing it up to the highs again, making everybody chase it again. And this is where I would probably enter my short. We will see. Time will tell. In gold, we have time. It's usually not moving as fast. And yeah, my soybean trade is also doing kind of well so far. There was also some major headlines about soybeans between China and the US, and I don't really care about those things to be honest, but I like being along soybeans. Yeah, so also interesting trade. Nobody looks at those commodities. Why not looking for those as well? And in the end, it's about RR, and even soybeans can move like 30%. Should it go back to the highs? So yeah, many things to trade, not just crypto, many things going on. Right now, as said, stocks are selling off, and I hope my hedge is going to hedge the rest I have, but I already started to sell a lot of those because they're more or less moving like altcoins, a little more predictable, but you see how red they are suddenly. And I have my invalidations all in place, trailing stop losses. A close below here means um, a sale for me, which is already more or less happening. So if the daily close here is, if the daily close is here today, I'm gonna sell this position as well. Probably also holding a moon back because some of those have great fundamentals and like 10 to 20% do not hurt, even though if I maybe round trip them or hold them for quite a while. But as a 10 to 20% makes sense. Is also a hedge for more or less for being wrong about selling here. So trying to prepare for every outcome as usual. Okay, seems like you figured it out, Andy. So I'm gonna shut down my stream and my place for you.
Okay, yeah, let's see if it works. Really, maybe. Fuck. It wasn't my max privacy stuff. I haven't re Do you remember if you had to do anything in your Discord settings? Because it literally tells me I need to do it in my privacy settings, but I can't find anything to like slide to
No,
make it
actually,
work.
I don't remember anything I had to change, to be honest.
Mm.
And and I can also check if it's maybe another role blocking you because you have several roles. Maybe one of those is blocking you somehow. Let me check. But I don't think so.
Mm.
Mm.
I mean, if not, I can just share the screen, but
Maybe
then we can
try
go
now.
over it.
Could be because of the members role was like not able to share a video. When you have the members role, maybe this is creating some kind of issue.
Did you remove it already? Or...
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, let me try. No, I rejoined the stage. Okay,
Okay.
1 second. Maybe that works. Yeah. No, that doesn't work. It's weird because I mean, obviously my mic works, right? So
Mm.
I'm not sure why it won't let me share. It's annoying. I mean, I can just share the screenshots if it's a little bit annoying as well, but better than nothing, maybe.
It's weird. Discord does weird things.
Ja. Jetzt heißt, du kannst den Zugriff Discord hat keine Berechtigung, um deinen Bildschirm aufzunehmen. Du kannst den Zugriff in den Privatsphäre-Einstellungen ändern. But I
Uh,
don't find anything.
but this really sounds like it's from your Mac.
My issue. Yeah. But I mean, in my system settings, I already, like, I had to tick something, I did so. But maybe I should restart Discord. Maybe that's the thing.
Maybe. Okay.
Yeah, sorry for wasting time. I'll restart Discord quickly.
Yeah, no worries. It's all good.
Be right back.
You're interested in understanding gaps better. Okay, let's cover this. Sure, we have time. It seems like it's only us three, and the less people, the more time we have for each question. So, what is the specific question like? Understanding gaps better, in terms of what, why, and how, and stuff, or what is the specific question? Yeah, I usually trade them, and in the end, you can see them like FEGs more or less. So give me, for example, Tesla. Tesla does a lot of gaps usually. So for here, for example, yeah. So a gap is more or less a void in the chart because a gap happens. So we have, let me pull pre and after market up because then you will see what I mean. This is maybe a little bit too, yeah. Let's look at it like that. So the blue one is aftermarket, right? We have opening hours. So blue one is aftermarket, red one is pre-market, and we have these gaps. These happen then in overnight market or on different exchanges, right? So we have also like Tesla is mainly traded, the highest volume is at the Nasdaq stock exchange, but obviously you have also Tesla on whatever this is, the Mexican stock exchange, the Argentine stock exchange, and they will have way less volume, but they can still be traded there. And if a move sometimes happen without not in like the US hours, you will have then overnight gaps, which are then like complete gaps on the chart. And you can imagine them like FVGs, but just a little bit stronger, more or less. So let me turn this off again because it looks kind of confusing. Um, you can imagine them as FVGs more or less. And the price wants to come back because if price gaps like this means like all orders and all the liquidity on, for example, in this case, the New York Stock Exchange or the Nasdaq was not taken. And so market makers have an interest to push price back there to create more volume around this area, take the liquidity, and then move price in the next direction. And especially on Tesla, I have backtested Tesla a lot. Those kind of gaps, especially if you combine them a little bit with supply and demand and market structure and breakup structure and all this, they have a very high win rate. I think I traded this with a like 70% win rate and also my back testing, and it was like it was a very nice edge to trade. Very simple, very straightforward. You just go long pre-market gaps or overnight gaps, more or less. And not all of them will work, but many of them will just at least provide a reaction. What the hell are those circles doing here? And as said, you can imagine them like strong FVGs, and you can then also apply like the whole block behind kind of thing. But at the same time, you want to mainly focus on market structure. So if market structure is very strong and it's going higher, for example, strong trending, I mean, and it's going higher, those like bullish gaps are have a way higher win rate than, for example, the bearish gaps. But if structure turns to the downside, breaks to the downside, you can then also, of course, look for those bearish gaps. And you can, as said, imagine them as strong FVGs. You can look for liquidity behind, but as you can see here, you don't really need it, and you don't also need to skip around 1,000 timeframes, align it with market structure, and all that, and supply and demand rules. Like for example, here, this whole thing here is demand, right? So as said, everything else we do is just refining this demand, because obviously you don't want to take the setup with a or you might wanna, but in this case, at the extreme premium, I would not trade Tesla on a 5% stop loss. If it's an extreme discount after like a big retracement, we can talk about this, but if I take a long up here, obviously it's not as optimal as down here, right? It's always about context and about increasing odds and win rate. And as said, if you trade this demand, look how it reacted ever since it was created. Reaction, reaction, reaction. Obviously, it gets weaker every time. But for example, if you want to take a scalp from here, like this one, you cover the gap, or you cover a bit more if you want to play it more safe. But usually it's enough to cover the gap and a bit more. And then you target, first target would be in this case, this high here, right? And because it's a range trade, we have no real trend in either direction. So this would be a range trade. You would go along here, and it provides already 3R up here, and it provides 6R up here. And you TP on probably like here, and when it rolls over slowly, this is what I would do. And then you stop loss at break even or in profit. And as said, there are many of those gaps which you can trade, and they work simply just because of liquidity reasons. And also, as said, you don't really need to look for anything here. You could now skip through time frames and look for some kind of block, or for whatever reason. But sometimes less is more, and I just focus on those gaps. They have a good win rate, a high win rate, and so why would I add layers of complexity if not necessary? Yeah, and from, as said, from a technical perspective, they're just strong FEGs happening overnight when this exchange is closed, when there is no trading time. And you will also see daily gaps like this one gapping up quite aggressive, very strong. The higher the time frame the gap, more or less, and also if you apply other rules, the better or the stronger the level gets. Look here, we did nothing but coming back more or less to this demand, and within this demand there were big gaps, and you see we just filled the gap basically. So you could have just gone long, and you could refine all of this and blah, but I did, and it was not worth it. Stop loss below this low, stop loss below the demand, and scaling into the gap, and you see was a great higher time frame trade. Nothing overcomplicated, nothing like overcomplicated, and no need to overcomplicate things. It's a very simple and beautiful edge on stocks. And obviously, like with every asset, on some it works better, on some it works less. But those like aggressive moving trending stocks, they usually have a very high win rate for those gaps. And so, for example, another like scalp idea would be to go long in this, because we form this range, and throughout this range, a lot of liquidity is forming below those lows, right? Because many people go long, many people think like, oh yeah, Tesla is going to go to 1K or whatever. I don't know their targets, but below all of those lows, I mean, we took this one already, is forming liquidity. In the longer, the more time we spend, the more liquidity is going to build in this like daily gap I showed you. Oh, my computer is getting slow. Not good. Yeah, and so this gap is also a nice trade idea based on the whole liquidity rules of this range. It sounds it's definitely not optimal. Nothing out. I thought so. Can you hear me again? Can't. Uh, yeah, I was not talking for like a minute or something because I was just closing all the not the windows I don't need. I don't know what my computer has. I think I didn't turn it off for the night, and maybe it's a little bit stressed out because of that. Okay, you heard all this with range and liquidity and gap here and this stuff, or should I repeat that? Not the range. Okay, um, the last part. Okay, again, this little range which is forming here and lower time frame, you will see it a little clearer, means that people are going too long within here, right? So the longer the range continues, the more people are going too long, and where do they put their stop loss? They put it somewhere below the range. And so this adds confluence to the whole gap here. Like you will see this kind of pattern or behavior kind of often, like aggressive move to the upside, like some consolidation, building some liquidity below, taking this liquidity and higher. It's more or less a nice momentum trade, but obviously it's not as optimal. Why? Because we're in higher time frame premium, we're pumped already, quite aggressive, and so size should be lower, target should be tighter, and everything that goes into sizing more or less. But you can still trade those, for example. It's all about context. Down here, this little gap is obviously more is better and has probably a higher potential to do well. Why? Because it's within this whole demand area. So this could also mark all of this as demand. And then I refine it down to this little area which created the pump. And then within this area, we have even this little gap. And so this will probably be a nice setup, um, which is lining up here, stop somewhere below this low here, and then to the next like area of resistance then. And so as I said, put those gaps into context and you will see that they're like working so beautiful, even though the chart looks ugly. Um, it's a very, very simple and easy edge to trade, especially on Tesla. As I said, I did a lot of back testing on Tesla. Um, the gaps work amazing on Tesla in the right context. Hello, Rooney, and hello, Victoria, by the way. Nice that you made it. I hope this was like understood. Do you confluence with Phoebus Fibs plus gaps? Yeah, yeah. So for me, for example, I use the Fib tool mainly as a swing or range measurement tool. So I would, for example, if I want to long any of those gaps, either this or this. This one is the better one because first of all, the 0.5 aligns almost perfectly. And on the other hand, it means that we are at least at equilibrium. And so the whole setup gets more optimal, right? Because we are in discount. We want to buy in discount. We want to sell in premium. This whole thing here is not as optimal. But at the same time, as said, for a momentum scalp, maybe into some kind of liquidity here with a tight stop loss on lower size makes also sense. So I use more or less the fibs here, first of all, to get confluence for the exact area. And if I have a fib within this area, like here, makes it very good. But I mainly look for premium and discount stuff. So even if the fib would be like here or a little bit higher, and it would still be all right. This would obviously be better because this means it's deeper in discount. This would be a little bit less optimal. But what I would do is I would just include the fib into my stop loss as technical barrier. And in this case, it lines up perfectly with this little gap within the demand. So here is probably a prime setup waiting for us, um, which we can use to go long. And as said, I would probably cover this little thing here. Maybe looking into this a little more. Yeah, at least this body here, something like that. And then obviously if you just go down from here, I could target then those highs or something. So it would be a nice trade idea. For a bounce, I would probably expect like macro from a macro perspective at this, if we go down here, this would probably be just a bounce. I would not expect something like this. So probably a bounce into a lower high. But obviously those can be traded as well and offer great RR at times. I hope this covers it, like the whole gap thing, Aristo. But obviously you can always ask and also just share setups. As I did also a lot of backtesting on lower time frame gaps on Tesla, and this was just one of the most fun things I traded, to be honest, compared to many other edges I've tried. Because usually I aim for edges which have a very high win rate, and you see my stock performance is like, what was it, like 78% win rate? And I do this to make money, first of all, and second of all, it should be fun. And even though 50 or 30% win rate can still make money, it's definitely way less fun if you lose half of the time than compared to 2 times out of 10 times. And so I always aim for a high win rate, rather play them a little wider, give them a little more room, don't be R greedy. Has always paid off for me, but this is personal preference. Obviously, if you can stomach high R and rather take like higher frequency, more trades, also an option, but especially for people who have like time issues or a day job or a family or whatever, for them it's usually way better to aim for a higher win rate, positions their print for a longer time, being a little more safe, not needing so much management, not re-entering and all that stuff. Makes it way easier in my view. Low time frame, I would consider low time frame everything below 4 hour. Everything below 1 hour is basically micro time frame, but if I say low time frame for me, it's then also everything below 4 hour. Um, yeah, yeah, probably everything below 4 hour would be low time frame for me. Okay, if the whole gap thing is clear so far, I would say we try Andy's screen sharing again. Okay, let's cover Rooney's question first. I had a question, more academic. Check the chart for GDXD. Came across this last week when I wanted to understand ways to short gold. Can you check that chart and look into why price behaved that way? A similar thesis on semiconductor stocks with SOXS. Disclaimer, I'm yet to go through the charts. Just an idea I've picked up from a friend group. Okay, let me check GDXD. Uh-huh. Yeah, be careful with those leveraged ETF products. Um, they behave kind of weird sometimes. So you really need to understand what you're trading there. These are like complicated products or instruments. I not say don't use them, but I just say be very careful what you do and understand like the whole the rules and like the contract you more or less go execute with those people who made those contract or those instrument this instrument. So read the rules because there can be very high hidden fees. There can be strange like rules depending on volatility. Like this chart maybe does not move like you expected would, and all those things. So I think the easiest way to short gold is with a margin account and just or with a CFD and just like selling it. And then you may not have like with a CFD, depending on where you live, you can get up to 10x leverage, which is already better than the 3x. Um, and as I said, those can be weird. So either make sure you completely understand that, or just go for a CFD, or just go for the normal contract, or for a normal ETF and margin sell it. So for example, if you use interactive brokers, you can then sell um, just the underlying asset, which is like really selling it. So it's not an artificial contract or anything. You just like you borrow. So IB borrows it for you more or less like the real asset. Um, and this is also different than a CFD because you never know who is providing this. Will they like, if you don't like check the whole background, are they really like solid, or is this like a firm that is maybe going bankrupt within the next few years or whatever? So especially if you plan for higher time frame positions, be careful with those. Um, And obviously, like just looking at the chart, I'm already thinking like, okay, what the fuck? It has nothing to do with the gold chart. It doesn't even look like inverse. Like, well, what is it doing? Like, it went to 0 and then now it pumps to 18. Why? And so it doesn't make sense to me. Like I look at this chart and think like, okay, this can't be right. It's just it goes down. You have no level, no nothing. It just goes down almost to 0, and then it pumps out of nowhere. Like how many percent within 2 days? This is not, and it just gaps, right? Um, yeah, I would stay away from this. To be honest, this is not looking um, very healthy. To be honest. Yeah, so find something else to short gold is my advice looking at this. Um, Similar thesis on semiconductor stocks with SOXS. What is this? Never heard. Yeah, similar stuff. You need to understand that like if you buy those things, you don't really buy something from like the real underlying asset. You buy some kind of artificial contract that somebody is creating, and they are so you know every ETF is more or less just an investment portfolio, right? So there is a big team behind those ETFs, even behind the S&P, and they decide how much stock and which kind of stock they put into. So the S&P is nothing else but an investment portfolio managed by a company. And obviously they have a track record of like doing it right, but if you buy something like this, and if I look at this, I don't think that semiconductors did so badly. And this is semiconductor bear. Oh no, yeah, it's negative, so it obviously should go down because semiconductors did well. Yeah. But how does it behave and what is it made of? Like what is in the basket, right? What do they put into there and short more or less for you? So you buy more or less their execution and you never know what they really do, and or you know, but it's a lot of time to figure out. And if you're a trader, you can do those things yourself with the right instruments. And so I only use an ETF from one single asset. So for example, I use a gold ETF because I don't want to trade futures, and it's hard to short like physical gold in the real world. And so I sell the ETF more or less, and I also buy the ETF, which is the biggest one, which is like the spider one, which at least they say they have the whole ETF backed by real gold. I wasn't there to check, but because it's the biggest one, I think it has the least risk to fail, but never say never. But with those, there's in this basket there are probably like 10 companies or something, it seems like. Direction Daily, or is it one company? Because it says shares. It's like it's several shares, or is it one company? And also all of those two things, I don't know if you know, but it doesn't really matter. If you know, please tell me. But on the other hand, um, I would stay away from stuff like that, to be honest. Several, yeah, and then you need to check which kind of, and then you need to like be aware of which are like in the basket, and all those things. Like there are so many hidden risks, and also as said them sometimes, like for example, also very prime example, I told about the soybean trade I've taken, and this is the like the real soybean the trade I'm taking, right? So then look at this chart, it's very obvious what's happening. It's ranging for ever, like ever since soybeans have been invented. Like they're going sideways more or less in this range, and then they broke out, and now they retested the range from the highs, and they maybe form another range here. um and so I just went long at this demand, higher time frame trend line, higher time frame point of control. So I went long here, basically soybeans, and this is one soybean contract. It's the biggest one with the highest volume. But I don't want to trade futures because futures are very complicated, and then you need to have a certain time, and then you have like expiring dates and blah blah blah. And I don't want to do that, so I go for a soybean ETF. But you see, the structure is very different, and you can tell you why, because they are trading several soybean futures for me, but it's a very established one. It's all right, and I still trade this kind of structure here. I go long at this demand because, as said, I think this chart is leading, and I execute on this one just because as said, I don't want to buy futures, and I go long based on this and this demand here on this chart, but this chart rules it all. I just use this to execute more or less. And obviously I need to check prices and all that. And this soybean ETF is made out of 3 different soybean futures. And this is why it looks different, why it behaves different, and this is also why it doesn't move as aggressive. The other one is like moving way more aggressive, like double as much, because it's only one soybean futures, and obviously, like if it's a big basket of something, it's like working against each other and like hedging itself and blah blah. And this is not happening here. So this would be from a percentage perspective better, and even from an RR perspective. I could play this tighter, by the way, but as I said, I think a 4 to 5 hour trade is still a good idea. And yeah, this is why I execute this one on here, but I understand the underlying risk and what this is made of. And those 3x leverage bear market kind of thing, ETFs, I don't really know. And especially like you will see that if you want to trade on interactive brokers, you need to do quizzes for every kind of asset or instrument you want to trade. And if you have like to do the quiz about the complex ETF leverage kind of things, you will see that there are so many things that you wouldn't expect from the beginning, and then you think like, okay, oh my God, do I really want to trade them? Because there's a lot of things going on within those kind of instruments. Um, so yeah, I think this covers your question. So as I said, if I want to short gold, I would probably just go for there's this one. This is the SPI or no GLD, sorry. GLD, this is the spider one. It has the highest volume, it's established. And then I would just margin sell it on IB, which allows me up to 2x leverage. And if I really want to have higher leverage, I can still look for a CFD or something. CFDs are usually a little more handy than those complex ETF or ETN or ETP kind of things. Okay, good. Andy, should we try it again?
Hello.
Hello again.
Oh, this looks better now.
Great.
You can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so basically, yeah, that is my journal as well. I actually redid it this morning because it was all German, and I was like, yeah, I might not want to show all German on stream today. So maybe I just walk you through. So this is based on a template, and so but when I create a new note, I basically get asked a few questions. What kind of pair is it, and time frame and stuff like this. So that basically automatically fills in these kind of things. And what I need to do by hand then is, well, to actually put in the screenshots and all this other good stuff here. And so coming to the swing failure pattern play was basically, I mean, Tower mentioned that he would recklessly short that 3 drives. So that gave a good indication of what could be happening. And so not only did I have this 3 drives marked out, I think you had that too, right? But also I tried to get this the swing failure on the second all-time high swing failure pattern. And I had this marked out, had my alert set, and I actually wanted to short the swing failure pattern on this swing failure already, but I wasn't at the charts. And swing failure patterns are usually only short if I am at the charts, because it's kind of reactionary for me. And for this one, I was actually on the charts. And what I kind of liked there was not only did we have that high time frame 3 drives, I kind of imagined this low time frame. It was actually, you can't even see it yet. That's bad, but it's a 15-minute chart. I kind of imagined that as a low time frame 3 drives as well, which kind of gave like another confluence factor for the swing failure of this one. Then I noticed this grindy uptrend structure, and once that broke down, that was basically my entry trigger. And so that's how I went into the position. I basically covered the last high. This might have been a little tight, but I'm currently forward testing. I mean, obviously this was a forward test, but I also back test those kind of things. And for now, they look quite decent to play them that tight, I guess. And my plan was basically, as stated here, to have like a TP1 right here. There was this this daily order block, which I kind of wanted to cover. It was actually nice confluence with the 618 from the latest swing. So that was basically my first TP. And then the second TP was basically on these range lows and also confluence with this time frame breaker block cluster. Yeah, and basically that's how I played it. This is the updated chart. I mean that was that one Friday, I think the 10th of October, right? I mean, a year ago I would have probably panicked, and this time I was just chill as ever. That was actually quite good. I actually got filled on this one as well. That was really bad. I didn't remember that I had a limit order set for this one, but lucky me on this. And so that's how it went. And then after I got the second TP right here on these range lows, I trailed above the 3D breaker block, and the last 20% of the position, they are still open. I mean, that's kind of the mechanical way I trade right now, having those set up limit TPs, I guess you could say. And after TP2, I always trail. That's what I kind of kept for now. I think that might be something that could see some improvement, but I mean, I kind of still want to get a more data to actually know if it would make a difference in the end. But that's sort of how I played this short. And then here I have some extra info, which I fill out. So the reason for the entry was basically, as I said before, the breakdown of this grindy structure, and the target was the range low, below these mid-time frame breaker blocks. And these are basically just some check marks where I automatically update my journal name. So this one is not tagged anymore, but as you can see here, I already banked it in as a win. And when I do tag this, it automatically updates this node to _win. And here I have like my confluence checklist. Then I write down my kind of my mindset, my psychology observations. I was super calm. Like I waited for my clear entry trigger, and then I just executed. So I mean, that's also maybe one thing. It's low size, but I mean, you guys and Mark Douglas. I mean, by you guys, you and Albert in the first coaching session, and Mark Douglas, you kind of imprinted like probabilistic thinking into all of us, or at least me. And so I guess that's the reason why I stay calm now. And I also always try, or whenever I think I learn something, I kind of want to type that in here as well. I think on display kind of was the high time frame 3 drive with the low time frame 3 drive confluence, which is something I kind of want to keep a little bit more of a look at in future plays, because this just caught my eye this time. I didn't really pay attention to like a low time frame 3 drive before, but maybe I will in the future. Maybe I see some pattern evolve. Maybe not. That's something I wanna crack. And yeah, some observations. Because I think like on this play, I mean, I executed mechanically and all of that stuff. I followed my plan. Obviously, that's good. But yeah, I think if I would TP one quickly on swing failure patterns and then re-enter on a retest of the swing failure, that could be something that's something I kind of want to test in the future. But for now, I keep doing what I'm doing to have like a sample size on this, and then have another sample size with like tests on this kind of stuff. The idea was there to have risk exposure in mind. So let's say I'm in this short and I keep on adding to the position without TP wanting. I just keep on adding shorting risk, right? And that's kind of bad. But if I like TP1 and then re-add, that's I kind of can get like the risk in check. At least that was my thinking behind that. And yeah, basically that the second bullet point is just just an addition to the first one. But yeah, and this last thing is basically some automated script that basically just add everything I put in like below into this property stuff here. So if we, for example, look into this, like I can have like this database stuff and quickly see what some recurring patterns, or if there is any recurring patterns, and uh yeah so there's that. And maybe one nice handy stuff I did, at least, or I still do, I mean, that's from my template, I do have a link to the sort of setup types I play, and one of the setups I do right now is swing failure patterns as well. And then if I just click on it, I get this link, and I always get reminded what's the definition, why I want to play it, how do I want to play it, what's my entry criteria, and stuff like this. And yeah, I guess my monologue is it's kind of done now.
Yeah, great stuff. Great
But
stuff. Thank you for that. Great journaling, great reflections, great trade, great execution. Yeah, also like waiting for the break of structure with the trend line. Like the first spike, I for example tried the first spike, I got stopped around break even. I usually try to build a tight one and stuff like that. I talked about this before, but like you did it, very simple. Waiting for the break of structure with the trend line at the swing failure pattern is a great execution tactic. Also like the lower time frame 3 drive probably won't be always as clean as this one, but this one was like really clean. And it's also very good that you like did not get rid of the plan or got confused because of like the lower time frame price action. So if you're able to handle this, it's a very great combination to execute higher time frame ideas. So yeah, nothing to add. Was like very nice. As said, also your journal is very impressive, with all those links and connections and stuff like that. Great stuff. Thank you.
thanks. I mean, I'll be honest, I would have shorted the first swing failure as well, but I wasn't at the charts, as I said.
Hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah, and I mean,
So
like you could still leave the stop behind above the highs. I, for example, decided to move
yeah.
it to break even because I saw many shorts opening. And then I thought like, okay, good. If there is another higher spike, I mean, like it could still be a three drive if it spikes to 127K, then my stop would have been hit. And I thought like, okay, rather I get stopped at break even and I re-enter on the break of this trend line, which then happened. And then I re-entered and then I got more confirmation and then I added size. And then
Mm.
I ended up being on 2% in the end. But in the end, I know how it is. Like time wise, it's always about like, are you really there? And so you need to find an execution tactic that works for you. And this is actually a pretty simple one. Just waiting for this, and then it's still no guarantee, right? But it's definitely increasing your
No, yeah,
probabilities by a lot.
yeah. I mean, swing failure patterns I actually only trade if I'm at the choice. Like if I get an alert and I can pull out my phone and I actually have time to play it, I will play it. And then like if I play breaker blocks, for example, like as I said, I mostly play high time frame plays. And what I do is like I go half position with a limit order, and the other half, if I can get into the charts, I add the other half if it looks if I get an entry trigger just like here with the swing failure pattern as well. Like I have some criteria written down and I just enter if I can enter. Yeah. So
Makes sense.
that's kind of what I'm what I tried since the beginning, and so far um it seems to work. Yeah. I mean
Yeah, yeah, great.
that's
Seems like
yeah.
you already have a very good understanding of everything and also good execution and everything. So yeah, keep up the good work. Definitely great stuff. And
Thanks.
I also,
Yeah.
for example, trade swing failure patterns only if I'm at the charts because it's always like where will it stop? How high will the wick be? And like with the low time from execution tactics, you then have really like confluence and really you see what's going on. And I missed so many swing failure patterns because they happen when I was asleep, and it's always like, oh, but at the same time, you don't know before. So I also like to execute them all manually.
Yeah. Yeah.
Aristo
Thanks.
asked you, when did you start trading?
Um, I mean, half a year ago, I didn't even know what market structure was. So um, then I found Monitor. From Monitor, or half a year. Yeah, it was actually half a year because it was Easter this year when I started like learning. I found Monitor really quick. I'm very happy for that. Then from Monitor, I obviously found you and Albert, this Discord. And yeah, I've been using Monitor as an advanced search machine, the MMA Discord as an advanced search machine. Then you guys opened that course, and yeah, it was just the stars aligning, to be honest, because I think yeah, this wouldn't even be possible without such a great community and you as a like an insane mentor. Um, and literally, I get tears in my eyes right now because I'm actually so grateful, and it's been so much fun.
That's
Yeah,
amazing to hear.
but yeah, I mean, I think I wrote that last session. I've been in financial markets for longer. It was mostly boring ETF stuff. Just every salary, I actually put around 70% of my 70% of my salary into that kind of stuff. And in the bear market, I actually put a lot in Bitcoin as well because I like the only reason I did it was that I thought to myself that thing must be going up. Like I had no idea it was in discount, you know. That was actually the only idea. Pretty stupid, but I mean, sometimes you gotta be lucky, right? And that was actually just me being lucky. And yeah, so financial markets longer, understanding of financial markets, yeah, not that long, I guess you could say. And I mean, it's still a long way, obviously, but so pretty much from the beginning of yeah, of actually trying to understand and learning stuff, it's been half a year, yeah. Yeah.
Amazing,
So
amazing. Yeah,
Yeah, thanks a lot.
finding the
Thanks to
right.
you.
Yeah, I'm really glad that we could help you so much. Um, yeah, and finding the right sources is probably like we talked last week, is probably one of the hardest steps, and then obviously the real work begins. But yeah, with the right sources, it can really start. Everything before is not really like anything, basically.
I put a lot of like most of my free time actually goes into this, but I mean, if I didn't have the right sources, yeah, not only would it take like way longer to learn stuff, but you would also like maybe learn the wrong stuff in the beginning, and I think that could be detrimental. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Now already knowing about risk management, like I only risk 1% per trade. Would I have known that without finding you guys? Maybe I would have come up with that kind of stuff a year into trading and blowing up 5 accounts already. Who
mm,
knows? Yeah.
mm. These are like once you heard it, it's very like you're like, oh yeah, that's obvious, of course. But if you
Yeah.
never hear it, and or if you like you said, learning the wrong things from the beginning from someone who says, oh, just risk more is better and stuff. And like Hoodstock shared this nice post a few weeks ago, where this guy said, like repetition doesn't make perfect, repetition makes permanent. And if you repeat the same wrong things, it will become permanent, right? It will become a habit. And so if you have early on good sources, it will reinforce the good stuff from the beginning.
Yeah. That's very true. I mean, that's actually the case for a lot of things in life, right?
Mm.
I always make the analogy with the gym. So I've been going to the gym for like over 10 years, and I have friends who just want to have progress really quickly, and then obviously they overdo it, right? I mean, with like good intent, but just overdoing it, and they don't see progress, and but they keep on doing the same thing over and over again. And yes, I mean, if you do the same thing over and over again, it will be a habit, and you don't see progress. Maybe you need some change in your habits.
Exactly.
But yeah, or sometimes it's like you speak to a wall. I mean,
People oftentimes need to figure out themselves. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, thank you, Andy. Very nice that you shared everything with us. I think it was also helpful for other people for seeing how to journal, you how you think and all that. Great stuff. Great stuff. Do you want anything to add, or you want to say anything?
Um, I mean, what helped me is like having yeah, Obsidian, and trying to link everything together. So for example, in the beginning when I had no idea about like swing failure patterns and the ability to always jump to like a tab and be reminded here, right? Especially when backtesting, um, that kind of helped to always get reminded of what to do, and then it just gets into you. So when I entered this swing failure pattern on live charge with my live account, I didn't look into that because it was already like in my head, right? I already knew what to look at, when to look at, and why I want to look at this. And yeah, having like links in in your journal, especially with like Obsidian, that works really well. I think that kind of helped me. And yeah, uh, also having like I also have like a hand note journal like in front of me where I always wanna like where I always like type down something which I think is like important to remember tomorrow, or like yeah, plan for the week. I always like to put down with handwritten notes. That works for me. But I guess that's regarding journal. And apart from that, yeah, just put in the time. I think um, this is the best resource we could have gotten, to be honest. Yeah. Mm. I could go on with like philosophical talk for hours, but that's not the purpose of this. But yeah, I mean, nothing to add then, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank
Thanks
you.
for having me. Yeah.
Thanks for being here. Okay, anything else? Is anything anyone also want to share some trade with us, or have you any more questions? We have like 15 minutes left or something, so bring it.
Maybe, sorry for just talking, but maybe the work stuff, the hour stuff, if nobody else has anything to say.
Sure,
Um,
sure.
about your ex-spouse, right? Because I maybe if I can elaborate a bit, because that kind of hit home right now. So I actually reduced my hours to 35 hours a week, and that way I got like more time to like go into the routine I posted in student discussions, but I still feel like I want to reduce it more, like have an actual day off, right? A Friday, for example, or whatever day it is. But I'm actually kind of in that sense I'm blocked by my head to not do it, and I can't figure out why. And you gave like good arguments. Your decision making was like top notch in the way you presented your tweet, and kind of made sense. And then I'm just asking myself, yeah, I just don't have the balls to do it, and I don't understand why. And that's why that's the kind of backstory into why I maybe want to get into this kind of topic a little deeper. Yeah.
Sure. I did it. I did it in a similar way. So I also had my day job, and I reduced by 5 hours per week, which is like as handyman, you usually have like 4 days, and then you have the Friday until noon. So you work every day like 9 hours or something, and then you have only half a day on Friday. And they said to my boss, okay, good, I wanna reduce this Friday, which is then also 5 hours, and it cut. I'm on this number. Don't nail me down, but it was like 150. I think it was 150 for those 5 hours. And then I started my business and all the things I wrote, and then it went through the roof, and I made a lot of money. And then I said, like, why would I work for somebody else still 4 days if I can do even more if I have another day for myself, and also like doing the things I enjoy. It's not all about work. So also like having the idea was I have Monday free now, so it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then I thought like, okay, how awesome would it be? And also my now she's my fiance, but back in the days we were just friends, and I wanted to spend more time with her. She had also Monday free, and then I thought, like, how amazing would it be to have free on Monday? And what is the worst thing that can happen? I asked my boss, and he says, no, this is like the worst thing that literally like that can happen. And if I just ask, I have like the risk to reward is like 100, right? It's either like a no or I have Monday free. And I knew from a money perspective, it's not a problem. I mean, obviously, I also talk to people who say I have family and all those things, and they tell me like I can't afford like reducing my hours, because if I miss like a few $100 per month, I can't pay my bills anymore. If this is the case, obviously then it's not like that simple, but it still could, like creating some kind of cash flow, reducing hours just a little, gaining more time is my view way more important than trying to get more money from like a day job which is not your company, because it doesn't really matter how much you will earn, it will never like be as much as you could do for yourself, and especially usually will never be as fair as it should be, for the amount of work you put in, because if you put in more work, it will cost more energy, you will have less energy for your family, for your own business and stuff, but you will maybe get more money, and this is maybe 10% a year more. And if you get way above average, it's still not what you could do with your own business if you scale it properly and right. And so I think the risk to reward is like insane of trying to do that. And as said, if it's a money issue, okay, then other things need to be solved first. You need probably to put in even more time first to create some kind of cash flow, which then makes it possible for you to reduce your hours, to scale this cash flow, your business even more. Um, this is then the first step. But if money is not the issue, if you can live a good life, if you have still money to save, and it wouldn't kill you to earn a few $100 less per month, I think the the gain you have by like getting more time for yourself and for your business and for everything is that the trade-off is just like it's too good to not take it. And I didn't even realize I to be honest, I didn't even ask. I just thought about my hourly salary, which is like a common salary, and then I thought like, okay, if I reduce another like 8 or 9 hours, that must be so and so much and blah. And then I thought like, okay, it's probably like 400 or 500 euros less. But it turned out that it's just 200 less for a whole day, and so the half day was 150 bucks. But by reducing the second day, which then made me like a 3 day worker, which is then a part-time job, it's not a full-time job anymore, you come into another tax bracket, which then means I get more from my hourly salary because my employer pays less taxes and I pay less taxes. And in the end, it was just 200 bucks less. And so I ended up having 2 full days for myself, weekdays for myself, which then meant I have like 4 days of the week, like more than 50% of the week belonged to me, while only getting 350 euros less. And I had still my insurance, I had still like my cash flow properly, and then I had so much time to scale up everything I wanted to do. And this is my hobbies, my company, everything. And so as said, the trade-off was just insane. And as said, I think I don't know why you hesitate to do that, because I don't know your situation, right? Might be complex, might be for whatever reason. But what I see usually, people don't see the possibility, like they don't think that's possible. And the second is once they see it, they think like, okay, my boss is never gonna allow this. And the third is like the money thing, which as said, for me was a surprise that it's only that less. So I thought it's way more less, and it wasn't. But those 3 points are usually a reason, and also like getting the no, like having the guts to ask. And how many times or how many people would like to ask for a raise and all those things, but it's about having the guts. It's like negotiation. Like the thing I have in the beginning, I told you with my house owner, with my landlord here. He wants an increase in monthly payment, and obviously it's never like for me, especially for me as German, right? It's never comfortable to negotiate about money or something because I never learned this. I mean, I grew up in a business family, but there was no negotiation. There is a price tag, and you pay that price. But in so many countries, it's always about negotiation, and here as well, and with your boss as well. Like and literally like the worst thing that can happen is a no, right? And if you do a good job, if you really provide something for the company, if you're valuable, they you are in a position to ask for things like I said, know your worth. Because and nowadays it's like not like with our parents. So I can only speak for Germany because I don't know the economy situation in other countries, but I know that companies are always searching for people. Like back in the days, you need to like write 10 companies to get one job. Now 10 companies are looking for you for this one job. Because like good people are very rare, and people get less. Obviously, our generations are not as strong as the generations before us. And so all of these things, even though companies don't want to know you that this is the case, they are actually in the position that they need you, not the other way around, because you could easily find another job. And so if you like a good part and valuable part of your company, you should have no worries to ask. And as said, it's still like the worst thing is a no. But if you present like good arguments, like how it would like improve your energy and how it would improve your like your workforce during those days where you're still here because you're still more motivated, because you feel like you're getting like valued the right way, not because you want more money, because you want more time. It's all about like selling what you want, and negotiating in the right way, and presenting the company also what something that they want, right? Because they want something, you want something. How can you both like find an agreement on that? And that's why you should also present what it will help them. So for example, if you want to have a day less, you can tell them that you would work a lot better during the other days because you feel valued, and you feel like they are listening to you, and like you have some rights in this company and all those things. um, and this would like create a better output. And like this, I think there are very few bosses who would say no to that if you present it the right way.
That makes sense. So I think the biggest part for me is just asking,
Mm.
because I know I'm a valuable part, and I know at least one or two projects might die if I'm completely gone. So it's not a skill issue or that I'm not skilled enough, and they would happily be getting rid of me. That's not the case. I'm pretty sure about that. Yeah, I think as you said, maybe that's just that's a general German thing with the negotiation stuff. Yeah, yeah,
To be honest, I feel so uncomfortable if I'm like at the marketplace or something where it's really about negotiation. People also almost expect that from you, right? And still feel uncomfortable
yeah.
with that. And many Germans I know that for them it's the case as well. But at the same time, it's a skill like every other skill. It's repetition, it's exercise, and this is a good exercise, right? Um, because as said
Yeah.
the risk is basically zero because just because of you asking they will never say okay what is going on we fire you now. This is like very unlikely I guess.
Yeah. I mean, money wouldn't be the issue as well. So yeah, it's just I need to treat it as an exercise, to be honest. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah,
who is holding you back? That's the question. And negotiation as
that's
a
me.
and negotiation, I think it was in 4 hour work week or in some kind of book they said like go out once a week or something and train negotiation. Go to a market and even though you don't really want to buy this apple or something, try to get a better price for it. And just for the exercise, right? It's not about like getting something cheaper. It's about the exercise, feeling uncomfortable in the moment because you're not used to doing this. Need to travel around Asia more shopping, MMA white belt on negotiation. Yeah, yeah, I felt that when I was in Asia. You need to because they always try to get a way higher price, especially if they know you from Europe or something. And the same is in Georgia. If they know you from Europe, they tell you a European price. But if you know what's the local price, it's usually way different. And if you don't negotiate, it's as expensive as in Europe. Never split the difference. This is a book. I will write it down. This is probably gold for me if it's about negotiation.
Might be a game changer for me too.
Never split difference. Okay. My list gets bigger and bigger. Okay. I think we are at the end of our session. Is there anything like important? Does anyone want to ask something or share something? Because other than that, I would wrap it up here. General question on setups like swing failure pattern. Yeah, please bring it. Are there other setups I can just research on and write notes what Toba only has done? There are, and it's called backtesting. Oh, you mean like where you can see like already executed setup? I mean, just go for if you want to backtest this, if you want to collect data, just go for obvious swing highs and look at like the second reaction, for example, and you will find a lot. Like on higher time frame, you have some kind of swing high, and you go to the second one or even to the third one, and then you just look at what it looks like on this time frame, on lower time frame, how you could structure your trade around this. I don't really have actual examples, only the ones I took live, which are not so many because I never like took a lot of swing failure pattern trades until now. But as I said, look at higher time frame swing highs and look at the second reaction, and also look at failed ones, like where it just blast through, because then you will always also find maybe something on low time frame which you say, okay, good. If this is just creating higher highs, no break of structures to the downside, there is no reason for me to enter this trade. And on this current example, you have like this three drive, and then you have the break of structure, the point where Andy entered, and there you have your clear entry trigger then. And you will also probably find some examples where it looks like it's going to work. You have the break of structure, you have everything, and it still fails in the end. It's obviously also possible. Quick question. There are, I guess it's 100 million assets out there. Sometimes I feel overwhelmed by all the options and it's hard to start charting stocks. Any recommendations how you guys do it? Maybe I should focus on industries I enjoy. This is actually a great question. And I usually this is why I like trading my stocks with narratives, because there are so many stocks out there and I could pick any of them, but I like having those narratives because this connects it somehow to the real world. It's like you remember like the math lessons you had in school, and when it was like just for me it was like at least that like that, if it was just abstract like calculations or anything, it was always like and then if there is some geometry, some paintings, something to grab more or less to grasp, um, then it suddenly made sense to me. And this is the same thing with stocks, because you have then a sector which you're interested in, which you think has a great potential future, and then you look at prime companies within this sector, and then you obviously apply your TA to the chart, and then you have your more or less your little radar for what to look for. And also if you pick, for example, a certain market you want to trade, pick certain assets you always look at. So for example, on stocks makes sense, the SPX, and maybe one or two like major stocks. Like for example, I look always at Tesla because I back tested it a lot. And not that I especially like Tesla or something, but it's very volatile, it's very trending, and this is what I like um as trader. Yeah, another question. Yeah, bring it. Yeah, I would go for premium trading view definitely. I mean, it's worth the price. It's like for every single it you have a tool, or you work you work something like, I don't know if you have like mechanic experience or something, but you want to invest in great tools, because it's just annoying with working with bad tools. And like if you have more or less the free version or the cheap version and you have the 20 alerts and all that stuff, it's worth the price. And Black Friday sale, exactly, good point, Andy. And then it's usually like 80% off or something, and then it's really affordable for the year. Yeah, there are several like discounts throughout the year, um, which are also there was some kind of link. This was not like an official thing, but I got a link and then it was like 85 or even, yeah, I think it was 85% off, and I even bought 2 years at once. So I have like still 600 days of trading or something. And I think like everything above premium, like the whole professional stuff, I don't see a big advantage as private person. But I think I don't even remember what is the premium like with discount. It's not that expensive anymore. I don't even remember, but it's definitely worth investing in. I don't know. I actually don't know. It's quite a while ago. But yeah, it's just essential stuff in my view. Yeah, I mean, if you have it prepared, we can still look at it. I have no issue with that. Okay, Andy, I will remove you. Thank you for being with me. And Aristo.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello, hello. Let me the screen. Okay, so just real quick, I'm in this trade, and pretty much I was charting forex, British pound against Australian dollar, and I found a 2 month order block right here. So I think it was a good idea. I was like, why not? I know there's the biggest spike here, but that was one of the last liquidity levels that I found. So I'm like, I'm just gonna get into the trade. I put the SL right here, which is pretty much by the liquidity level. And then there's a 10-hour breaker block, hitting order block right here. Oh, uh, wait 1 second.
I think you mean the lower one, right?
Yeah, exactly. Sorry about that. So the lower one, I'm trying to take full profit here. I took profit right here, right past the 0.705. So this swing right here did the Vivo, then I took half of the profit here. And now the price went all the way down here, which that was overnight tonight, so I couldn't really uh, see it. And I'm trying to understand where the price will go. I put the DSL to break even, so that's good. So I already cashed out 50% of it. Again, I'm just paper trading, so it's not like real money. But um, my question is, what's going to happen now with the price? I know that Monitor always says that you need to you react on what you see, but you also need to predict and have different options. And as of now, I'm a little lost, so I just want to put it out here for you guys to see it. As you guys can see, this was doing market structure was bullish. It went to the 2 month order block and then higher high, lower low, lower high, lower low, and then he reacted, so it didn't actually cross this. So I feel like now it's in a place in which bottom line my question is, should I just don't know what's gonna happen. So I was just hoping if you could maybe based on your experience, what are your thoughts on this?
So, first of all, like you said, I can also just predict probabilities, right? And I cannot predict the future, like we all do. But you wanna really adopt this probabilistic mindset of you have a level below, like the 10-hour hidden order block. So there's still a case for price to go back lower, and we reacted from this gray demand, which you pointed out. And now the question is, like at the current price, can we take out those highs, like the ones on like beside the current market price? Yeah. And if we create a higher high from here, like taking the structure, taking those highs, without reacting, just making a higher high, then probabilities increase for price to go back to the swing high, even to the range high. If we reject from here and do not break those highs, the main target still remains like the lower one, because we are still like more or less in mid range if you measure from all the way from the low, like even below this level to all the way up.
Uh-huh.
This is like your range right now, and you're still more or less in premium of this swing. And you can look at internal structure to define if price is going higher. And I would, for example, I usually always trail manually. And if we do another higher high from here locally, I would probably lock in another gain. At the same time, if we go lower from here, if we reject from here, I will just TP down there where I have planned. And I will do the same. Like, for example, I take a 50% TP there, and then I look at local structure, and should we make higher highs, I will take more from the table. Because then it's a real probabilistic like thinking and action, because now I can't really predict price. It looks like it wants to go higher, but those highs where it sits right now, this is the first like real test. And should we reject from there, it's still on track to go lower, but make it, if we make a higher high from here, structure is changing.
Okay. So checking out these two levels is key in order to understand what's going to happen. Obviously, if it breaks this one and it breaks this one, most likely it's going to go revisit this. So matter what, it's just like I would think about maybe closing out the entire sell on a profit.
Yeah, this is, for example, how I would
That makes
approach it.
sense. Okay. And then otherwise, I can still target this. If it goes back to well, I mean, that was already weak, so it wouldn't make a lot of sense to place another entry right here. Okay, but I understand. But this, at the end of the day, this is liquidity right here. There's a liquidity here and liquidity here too.
Yes.
Okay.
And this is why I don't trade forex so much, because it's always a little like you have so many highs, and should you wait for the first one or the second one? It's usually because it's such a ranging environment most of the time.
Yeah.
And this is not how I like my PA. This is simply because this is a perfect example why I don't like trading forex so much. Yeah, because I don't really
Makes
like the
sense.
market structure and how it moves. But at the same time, the principles remain the same. Even though it looks a little more confusing or a little different, it's still the same principle. And you have those two highs. And because you're still in premium of this range, more or less, I would still wait for the second high to be taken. And then at the same time, there will still, if we close above this, there will probably be some kind of pullback. And then you can still sell on the pullback, for example. But then it gets really advanced, and at this point, it's just about now. At this point, we are still making lower lows. It's still a downtrend, and the simple rule is: should the downtrend like change to become an uptrend, you have your answer, because then it's moving against you. Really, then you have structure moving against you.
Nice. Makes sense. Fair enough. Thank you. Just had this quick question. I appreciate it.
Mhm. Andy also said something to it. Yeah, exactly. And we can't know what's going to happen, and we can't care. The less you, I mean, prediction is important, especially I think in macro and higher time frame stuff, but especially in the lower time frames, the more you try to predict, the harder it will become, because bias will hold you back, because like um, expectations will hold you back. So on lower time frame, it's better to really just listen to structure and don't predict too much, but rather, yeah, I don't want to say react, but because you have a plan, and then you react should plan A or plan B comes into play. And plan A is we make lower lows, and plan B is we make higher highs, and plan B means you maybe take some more risk off of the table, or more profits off of the table. And if plan A continues just making lower lows, there is no need to change the plan. And then it's a probabilistic execution.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
You're welcome. And you use paper trading from TradingView, right?
Yeah. So I made this one account of 500 euros, and I tried to. I mean, it's hard because like I like the money to change a little bit. So if I go 1%, it's gonna be. Anyways, I'm really thinking about just like thinking about the risk that I'm applying. But yeah, so far, I mean, I don't have. I just have one active trade so far. But yeah, I'm just using paper trading. And then now I'm just setting up the other accounts, and I feel like it's time for me to start using real money.
Mm. Nice, nice.
I'm
Did
excited.
did you did you say you play poker, or was it Rooney? I'm not sure anymore.
No, I think that was someone else, honestly. I think it was Rooney, actually.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
I've
Yeah.
never, I know how to play, but I never had a professional. So like that's in terms of emotion, that's something I'm gonna have to learn through
Mm.
trading.
Mhm. Yeah, and you will just keep your risk in check, and you will see. You seem to understand the technicals quite well, and now the emotional part might maybe will enter your game, and yeah, you will see. It's still the same thing. So.
Totally. I put a lot of effort back in the day doing trading, and then I stopped because a lot of personal, I had a bunch of personal issues, personal matters. But I got back to it literally half a year ago too. And first, I remember seeing Monetar's post, and I'm like, okay, he's definitely another one of like these accounts that is a scammer. But then I was looking into it, I was like, okay, wait, but he's doing something completely different. And then I got into the community, I was digging into the rabbit hole, and I'm like, wow, that's actually pretty nice, and he's actually nailing a lot of trades. And that's when the second time that I started doing trading, I was like, okay, then now it makes sense. It's not about trying to use like 1,000 different indicators. It's more about like understanding the concepts, and also in this case, supply demand, order blocks, breaker blocks, and stuff like that. So I was like, oh wow, and that makes me motivated. And I literally wake up early in the morning, and I'm like, okay, I want to trade. So I still have my full-time job, but definitely it keeps me moving. And as you said, I'm having fun. So I think that's the most important part.
Hmm. Great. That's the most important part, yeah. Because why are we doing things in life to make ourselves a nice life, enjoyable life? So it's great if you enjoy
Totally,
it.
totally. So yeah, it's been fun. So then, thank you so much for all your help. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, thanks for joining in, guys. I think we're gonna wrap it up for today. Next session is on Saturday as usual. Thank you all for joining in. Thank you for sharing your setups and participating. I wish you all a great week ahead, and we talk on Saturday.
Thank you. See you on Saturday, guys.
Bye bye. Yeah, Andy, I think said something to you. You can check that still.
Yeah.
Other than that, bye bye, guys.
Bye bye.